This is Standing Watch. And now, Evangelist Norbert Link.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. The New York Post wrote on November 20 that 6 Democratic lawmakers released a video on social media urging service members to defy illegal orders by the administration. Now, let me just say I don't care whether these were Democrats or Republicans or independents or whatever. Doesn't matter. Now, according to the article, President Trump responded by saying, "It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. An example must be set." And he also said, seditious behavior from traitors punishable by death. Now, as the article points out, all 6 Democrats come from military or national security backgrounds, so they do know what they are talking about. Now, first of all, as all legal scholars, serious legal scholars, agree, their comments are protected by the American Constitution. Secondly, they never talked about specific orders. They just spoke in general. And so to call them traitors and talk about their conduct as seditious behavior is completely over the top. It's actually quite ridiculous. And so the Independent wrote on November 23, even Trump's allies in Congress are not backing him up. Before I go on, let me just say that you must never obey an order which is against the law of God. If there's a conflict between what man tells you and what God tells you, you must always obey God and therefore disobey human orders. We have prepared a free booklet, Obeying God Rather Than Man. And this booklet gives you many examples as to when there's a conflict, what to do. But now let me talk about a specific example. And as the title of this program already tells you, I'd like to talk about the killing of fishermen on the high seas. As of now, there have been 21 strikes on boats, and at least 83 people have died. The Ron Paul Institute wrote on November 20, and they published an article by Jacob George Hornberger, who is an American attorney, an author, a politician who was a libertarian candidate for president in 2000 and 2020. And that is what he wrote. As to provide a legal opinion as to the legality of such killings, the Pentagon has come up with a memorandum containing inane legal justifications, inane, stupid, silly justifications, expressly assuring U.S. military personnel that they will not face future criminal prosecution for their involvement in the killings. Now, you may ask the question, why would they even have a memo like that if everything is crystal clear? It goes on to say, the memo states that the high number of deaths from drug use among American drug consumers constitutes an armed attack against the United States. And then the author asks these questions. Are Latin American drug dealers entering the United States, kidnapping regular American citizens, physically holding them down, and then injecting drugs into their noses, mouths, or other parts of their bodies? All of the evidence is that American consumers of drugs are voluntarily buying and ingesting mind-altering substances, knowing full well that this is not a risk-free endeavor. Now, of course, it's wrong and stupid and completely inane to do that. But the question is, was there an armed attack? And then the article goes on to say, one of the other justifications on which Trump and the Pentagon are relying is their claim that these boat people are terrorists. Apparently, that governmental accusation means that they are subject to being exterminated without arrest, indictment, prosecution, conviction, and sentence. That is, without any due process of law. And that is a very good point. Even if these people were terrorists, being approached on the high seas, the law has been very clear that you would try to arrest them, not to just wipe them out. Now, only if they resort to physical violence, using weapons and guns to shoot at you, then of course you can defend yourself, but none of that has happened here. And so the author concludes, make no mistake about it, these drug war killings are the equivalent of legalized murder. They are morally illegitimate, legally illegitimate, and constitutionally illegitimate. And then there is another article which was written by Judge Andrew Napolitano, which was published by the Ron Paul Institute on November 20. Now, Judge Napolitano is by no means a Democrat. He has been featured on conservative programs such as Fox News, Newsmax. And that is what he wrote. America today would terrify the founding fathers. The president kills foreigners on the high seas, whom he says might commit crimes should their small speedboats miraculously make it 1,500 miles to the United States. The killings at sea will soon reach a federal court, as the families of innocent murdered fishermen and some survivors of botched killings have signaled to the media their intention to bring actions against the government. Now, whether we will ever know the facts is doubtful. Maybe those courts will not even take those cases. Maybe on jurisdictional grounds will dismiss them. We have to wait and see. But you see, all the evidence is gone. At this point, the Pentagon has not produced any evidence showing that these people were actually terrorists and that they have had these drugs on board, because they're all wiped out. And so I'd like to ask this question. How can it be justified that these attacks on boats, the explosions, and the killing of the occupants, blowing them literally to pieces, are shown on video all over the world? You probably have seen those videos, and let me remind you, we are not talking about video games here. We are talking about the actual killing of people, innocent people, perhaps. And of course, if the Constitution still holds any water, then everybody is innocent until proven guilty. So how can that be possibly justified? Now, is this something which should be admired because it demonstrates how tough Trump is? Europeans have declared these actions to be illegal. The UN has declared them to be illegal, even though, of course, I don't necessarily say an awful lot about the credibility of the UN. I'm just stating this as a fact. The UK and Colombia have declared them to be illegal, have stopped providing intelligence in that regard to the US, even though the UK later backpedaled due to their absolutely weak, chameleon-like leadership. But nevertheless, the question is, what is happening? Nothing is happening. And so the killings go on. Now, were these the kind of actions which these Democrats referred to when they said illegal orders must be disobeyed? Now, I don't know. One of the Democrats apparently backpedaled as well, allegedly saying that she is not aware of any illegal order which Trump has given. Now, whether these actions are legal or illegal when it comes to human law books, they are clearly ungodly in the eyes of God. Now, God is clearly against these terrible drugs entering the United States, but he is also clearly against the methods with which that is attempted. God does not support such ungodly conduct. Unfortunately, far too many Americans support him. Or they are completely indifferent, saying, oh, well, what do I care? Let me say it again. The downfall of the United States, which the Bible calls an ungodly nation in the book of Isaiah, is prophesied. It's rapidly approaching. And this example I gave you today, and I could give you so many, is one of the reasons as to why God is so angry with this nation, and why he will ultimately say, enough is enough. We have prepared a free booklet, The Fall and Rise of Britain and America. I recommend you order a free copy together with the other one on obeying God rather than men. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, this is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.
Standing Watch is a presentation by The Church of the Eternal God, P.O. Box 270519, San Diego, California 92198. More information is also available at our website, eternalgod.org.